Technical Writing Process, Purpose and Audience by Dr. Sandra Rios. Many times as a professional, you'll have to write documents such as letters and memos, reports, proposals, and you'll find though that you don't have to struggle too much to select your subject or your topic because the needs of your job will dictate what you have to write about. However, purpose and audience are a much more complex issue when it comes to technical writing. You've seen this diagram of the technical writing process. This diagram or flowchart divides the technical writing process into three basic stages: planning, drafting, and revising. And within these three stages, you have 9 different steps. Today, we are going to be focusing on the first 2 steps in the planning stage of a technical writing project. These 2 steps are the determining of purpose and the analyzing of audience. Whenever we write a document or give a presentation or an oral presentation, we have a purpose in mind. In technical writing, the purpose is usually to explain or inform, or to argue or persuade. We will start by talking briefly about how to determine purpose, and then spend a lot more time on the analyzing of audience. Exploring your purpose. Whenever you want to explore purpose, answer 2 questions about purpose and its relationship to your audience. They're not separate items in the writing process, but your purpose depends upon the needs of your audience. First of all, you can ask the question, why am I writing this document? And then you can ask the question, what response do I want from my reader or from my audience? The first question, why am I writing this document, can be answered in just 1 or 2 sentences, even in complicated projects. Often the resulting purpose statement can be moved as is to the beginning of your outline and later to the first draft. In other words, if you say, why am I writing this document, and your purpose is to explain or describe or to show or demonstrate, this is your purpose statement. And we often write purpose statements in our technical documents to explain to our reader what our purpose for writing the document is. So you can include your purpose statement as part of the introduction of your document if you are going to persuade or argue a point. You can say, the purpose of this document is to present or to persuade or to argue or to convince my audience that some action needs to be taken or not taken. So the purpose statement is the first question you're going to answer. The purpose of your document is the first question you're going to answer whenever you explore your purpose or you write a document. The second question has to do with, what do you want from your reader or your audience? What response do I want from my reader? Okay, and like I said, the first question about purpose inevitably leads to the second about results. Again, in this case, your response should only be 1 or 2 sentences long. Though brief, it should pinpoint exactly what you want to happen as a result of your document. Are you just giving data for the file? Will the information you provide help others to do the job? Or will your document recommend a major change? Do you plan to have your readers perform or create or to tear down something? What exactly will the information or the argument you present your audience with do for your reader? What do you expect them to do for you? Now, let's go on to audience. Once we've established our purpose, we have to learn or find out about who our audience or who our readers are going to be, and more importantly, how they're going to use a document, and maybe the kinds of obstacles or problems that your reader might confront when reading your not only your technical document, but any technical document. We're talking about professionals. I mean, of students, we find that we're very busy. Sometimes we have way too much work. And some of these obstacles may be obstacles for students as well as professionals. But let's look at some of these um, obstacles. First of all, readers, professional readers, are often, or well, here it says, always interrupted. And think about the cell phone or the telephone. Let's say you go visit a doctor and you're beginning to explain to him that you don't feel well, and the phone rings, or somebody knocks at the door and comes in. In other words, there's often interruptions, and these interruptions affect the way a reader is going to read your document. Readers are impatient. Most readers lose patience with very vague or unorganized writing. They are thinking, what's the point? So what? As they plod through memos, letters, reports, and proposals, they want to know the significance, the main idea, the purpose of the document right away. Readers might lack your technical knowledge. In college courses, the readers of your writing are professionals who usually have knowledge of the subject on which you are writing. In your career, however, you will write to readers who lack the information and background you have. They expect a technically sophisticated response, but in language they can understand. If you write over their heads, you will not accomplish your purpose. Think of yourself as an educator. If readers do not learn from your reports or from your writing, you have failed in your objective. In other words, you will not accomplish your purpose. Most documents have more than one reader. You often in college write for your professor, one person. But in technical or professional writing, you might have multiple readers. Each document can be tailored to the background, interests, in technical education of different people, not just one individual. Readers usually share decision-making authority with others who may read all or just part of the text. In other words, if you have multiple readers, they'll read the part of your document or the document you wrote and submitted that most impacts them. They'll read only the information that's important for them. So you'll have multiple readers, and each one of them will read different parts of the document. Thus, your writing must respond to the needs of many individuals. And we'll be talking about this, how users read documents, what parts of the documents they most frequently read, and how to take advantage of the fact that readers often read a document selectively. The fact of the matter is, though, that no matter who your reader is, they probably also have a hectic schedule, they are impatient, and have a technical background different from yours. How then can you tell exactly what kind of reader you're going to have and how they're going to use the document? Well, one of the things you can do is to research your reader. In other words, find out who your audience or audiences are going to be. And there's some simple steps you can take to do this. First of all, you can write down what you know about your audience. Okay, so for instance, your audience might be a manager in a different department. Write down what you know about that manager so that you can figure out what his or her needs are and write to those needs. Talk to colleagues, other people in your company or in your organization who have written to the same reader or readers. Find out how their writing was used or what kind of feedback they got from them. Well, what kind of feedback they got from their reader, and try and either emulate them if they had a successful they were successful in writing, or try and avoid any mistakes they might have made. Find out who makes decisions. Okay, the decision maker is probably the most influential person that you want to approach. And I'm just going to briefly tell you a little bit about how the UPR, University of Puerto Rico Mayagüez, works in the different departments. So, for example, I work as one of my jobs in the personnel committee, the Comité de Personal. Our job is to hire new professors and to recommend existing professors for tenure or promotion. We do not, as a committee, make the decision as to who is hired. We recommend professors. We recommend that they be hired. We recommend that they be given tenure, or in Spanish, tenure means permanencia. We recommend that they be promoted, but we don't make the final decision. We send our recommendation to the director of the department, and he or she adds their recommendation to our recommendation. Their recommendation might not necessarily be the same as our recommendation. If we have recommended somebody for a promotion, the director has every right to not recommend that person. After that, it goes to another person, the dean of, in this case, arts and sciences, until it gets to the Senado Académico or some other, the Junta Universitario, where the final decision to hire or to promote that person is made. So I would like you to understand that there often is a series of steps that need to be taken or fulfilled, and that the person who makes the decision might not be the person you're writing to. Who makes the final decision? That will affect how you create, organize, and present your information. Finally, remember that regardless of who your audience is and how they're going to use the information you supply them with, they are going to want their documents to be simple, easy to read. So when you write, make sure that you try and make your reading as easy to understand, especially if you happen to be in the unenviable position of knowing little or nothing about your reader. Sometimes you can't find any information about your reader, your audience. In that case, the, the basic principles of making your document simple is the best strategy. As a matter of fact, there is what's called the KISS principle. Keep it short and simple, stupid. And this is a worthy goal for all technical documents, especially when you have no idea who your reader is. Now, as you explore your audience or your reader, you can think about the fact that you could probably classify your audiences in a professional setting into 4 major categories. One is the managers, the people. Managers are people who manage other people, resources such as materials, it could be money. These are the people who often are in charge of other people and other things. Another type of reader audience is the experts. These are the people with the technical knowledge. A manager doesn't necessarily have to be an expert and probably can't be an expert in everything they manage. Another group of readers that you might find yourself writing for are operators. These people operate software, hardware, machinery, equipment. Okay, and then there are the general readers. These are people who might actually be outside of the company, or for some reason or the other have access to a proposal or report that you're going to write. So we have four basic types of audiences or readers, and each one of these people have different needs. For example, managers like a lot of background information. In other words, they don't have the specialized knowledge. So for a manager to make a decision, especially if they're a decision maker, you need to provide them with lots of background information. They might not be very technical, have a lot of technical knowledge about what you're writing about. So you need to give them definitions of any technical terms they might encounter. Okay, so each audience, each reader will have different needs. How the audience or the reader uses the information you supply them with can be looked at from this perspective. Some of these people might be decision makers. In other words, they're the people who are going to decide who is hired, how much money to be allocated, who does what. Okay, so the decision makers. You can have a manager as a decision maker. You can have an operator as a decision maker. Okay, there's also the advisors. These are the people who gather information and then give advice to. It could be the decision makers or people who receive information. So receivers are people who just get information. And that's when you put for your information, FYI. For your information means that's you just going to have the information. You're not going to really do anything with it. So you need to understand not only who your reader is, who your audience is, and what their position is, but how are they going to use the information? Are they going to use the information to make decisions, to advise other people? Are they just going to have the information for further use in the future? Okay, so here is a table that you can fill out to help you understand who your readers are and how they're going to use the information that you supply them with. This can help you to better understand your audience. You could actually fill one of these charts out for every one of your readers, or one chart for all of your readers. But any way you look at it, it's a good idea to understand what your reader's position is and how they're going to use the information. Having established a clear sense of purpose in your audience's needs, you're ready to go to the next step, which is collecting information through primary and secondary research. In other words, you know who you're going to write to, you know how they're going to use the information, and you now can actually you go on to the next step in the technical writing process and start doing both primary and secondary research. Doing research will be the topic of the next PowerPoint presentation and assignment number 5. Thank you.